Hey Gemini, Madeline here to give you your astrological report for the month of May 2025. And this month we are going to see the big, powerful planet of Saturn leaving your 10th house of career, where you will have worked very, very hard at restructuring your career and creating some sort of long-term new foundation there. That planet now moves into your 11th house, where that energy and work shifts into public recognition, notoriety. For example, if you've been writing and working on a writing project, perhaps now it becomes published and recognized, and the, shall we say, the authorities of under which you work are now rewarding you with accolades and rewards and in general success. It is also a house of fame and recognition, so you could suddenly your work and your hard work could skyrocket you and put you in a very public, visible uh, position recognized by your peers. So this is a house where you also are restructuring your friends groups. There could be people that are now eroding away and dissolving from your life that were not like-minded. There's some growth here with that Saturn in the 10th house. You have sort of maybe perhaps more, you're more professional, more mature. So you may now want a more, shall we say, supportive, like-minded peers and groups of support to shall we say are at your new level. Um, so this is a period for about 2.5 to 3 years where you'll be working very hard at restructuring your public relations, and you're interacting with the public and the people, and shall we say social media and networking. So and the end of that transit could bring you some very, very high yielding results towards reaching a long-term goal. Now, let's go ahead and look at the notes for the month here. Oops, actually, I want to redo that. I like to do it this way. Okay, good. So the month starts out with your sun in the 12th house, which will cause you to be a little more in the background, really reevaluating some things that you've learned in the year. It's sort of like the wrap up of the year, and it tends to happen when the sun is right before your solar return. You spend a lot of time reflecting on the year. And also you had a new moon there at the end of the month, last month in March, where you may have had a new idea come in. Now, a new moon in the 12th house can really reflect any of the other houses because it's a really overall karmic shift where where something has ended and there's resolve, and you're now ready to initiate a new beginning as a result of lessons having been learned. And then when the sun moves into your first house, you're ready to take that idea and that new beginning forward, communication, take it out in the world, speak about it, sell it. Gemini is also selling and writing, emails, exposing this and bringing it out into the world, this a new idea. Then with Mercury in the 11th house at the beginning of the month, you're networking and communicating and interacting with people in a busy way, even though you have also the sun in your 12th, and also Mercury then moves into your 12th, where you become in that middle of the month, because Mercury goes into your 12th at May 10th. And so there's 10 days there before Mercury goes into where the sun then goes into the first house, where Mercury's joining with the sun, where you're really contemplating. Mercury's your ruling planet, so you're having some deep contemplation about these ideas, how to take them forward when Mercury and the sun moves into your first house. And don't forget, Jupiter is in your first house. So these new ideas have a lot of, shall we say, expansive qualities for you with Jupiter in your first house every 13 years, 12 years, which means it's a year where you really do take some bold initiative steps forward to expand your dharma and take your purpose forward more with confidence and a renewed sense of self, as it were, a more authentic version of yourself. Now, with Venus in your 11th house, there is romantic potentials if you're single, that you meet somebody through a social tribe group, through social media, networking. You meet new people in general, new collaborative contracted partnerships can occur when Venus is in the 11th house. Um, um, you could have a very success in social media, selling beautiful things on media, in social media in the 11th house. or you could be coming into co-collaborative venture with a divine mate, your true partner. If you're already in a relationship where you both decide to collaborate and take a project forward out into the world, into the media. But again, a very potential there for joining with a soul contracted past life relationship with that Venus having just been in Pisces with the nose, and it also joining Neptune there in your 11th house. So there's a very good chance you meet your divine mate and you go into some sort of collaborative venture with them that's humanitarian, because the 11th house, I forget, is a very humanitarian effort, a house where we take on a humanitarian cause. And then with Mars in your third house, there's a lot of passion and inspired energy around media, perhaps, all connected to the 11th and the first house with that Gemini in your first house. Some sort of media project, writing project, small business venture, or just getting passionately and creative out on social media and being very artistic and creative and self-expression around this project that has initiated on that Taurus new moon in the 12th house. So something goes forward with a lot of excitement and passion and creativity. And don't forget, Mars Leo is passion in the bedroom too. So there is potential here for a very passionate new relationship initiating, or just passion reigniting in your current relationship. But the third house is a lot of busy energy, communicating, again, that supports that Gemini energy of media, writing, networking, emailing, busy energy, very busy time for Gemini after the sun moves into your first house on May 20th. And even busier when Mercury moves into your first house in May 26th, after Saturn has just moved into your 11th house, because Saturn moves into your 11th house on the 25th. So then we have Jupiter in your first house, which is going to give you a lot of confidence and a lot of go, especially when you had that Saturn in your 12th, in your 10th. So you would have been very driven to take your career into a sort of whole new level and to really restructure things and new ideas and more in alignment, because Pisces in your 10th would have, shall we say, wanted you to be evolving your career and your work, and with Jupiter in your first house, to initiate more soul aligned dharmic callings, soul purposes type thing, and to really align your career. Don't forget, we're going to have the eclipses there in Pisces and Virgo for the next year. So your career, these new beginnings that are initiating here in your first house with Jupiter there, are really going to start expanding and becoming a more tangible reality in your life. Like, it really starts to change your life and reshape your life. You're going to see the new shape of your life during these eclipse seasons in your 10th and in your 4th, coming up for the rest of the year. Now, with Saturn moving into your 11th, I've already talked a lot about that, but basically you are the potential of that. The outcome of Saturn there for 2.5 to 3 years is fabulous long-term clients, social networks and groups, and perhaps rewards and recognition and success around your efforts and your humanitarian causes. And then I'm going to skip over Uranus in your 12th, because basically Uranus is going to move into your 7th house. I'm sorry, into your first house in July 7th, where your life really, where you become you really change in the next 8 years. Your whole identity shifts and changes. You become much more of a sort of freewheeling, hippie, rebellious version of you. People won't recognize you by the end of that transit. You become a much more liberated, independent, and somewhat more eccentric side of you starts to expand. And then I'm going to skip over, we've got Pluto in your 9th house for a long time, which we could talk about another time. But the 10th house with that north node there is continuing to take your career, with the eclipses there, into more soul calling, more spiritual, which really just means more soul fulfilling ventures involved in your work. And those shifts are going to continue to occur for the next year. And then the new moon in your 6th house in the sign of Scorpio, that can be intense, because that brings up a big, shall we say, clarity, or illuminates an addiction that needs to be quitted. or something that's unhealthy, like for instance something in your diet that needs to that needs to quit. There's some sort of health problem that can show up, or the shall we say um, challenges around something that's been happening in your life on a day to day that needs to change, something that's frustrating and stressful and it needs to be quit. And there's a spiritual with the sun in your 12th during that period. Um, there's definitely a spiritual understanding or revelation around the cause of this, which you then are able to heal and transform and which it supports the quitting of that addiction and actually enables you to do it quite quickly. And it's very easy to quit an addiction on a full moon. It's easier to do it then than any other time, or perhaps maybe on the new moon in the sixth. But this is a transformative full moon where you become a healthier, much healthier version of yourself. And then with the new moon in your first house at the end of the month, some new initiative where you really feel inspired about this new version of you, with Jupiter there, still, where it's sort of like you have the confidence to really bring something forward into the world that is your dharma, that's related to these eclipses in your 10th house, that is sort of like more soul fulfilling, more of your voice, more of what you're here to say and what your legacy, what you're here to leave behind, your individual um, stamp on the world, the shape you want to carve your life into, the ideal shape of your life. It is happening on that new moon at 6 degrees on the 27th at the end of the month. So I hope that was helpful and informative for you. And if you would like a personal reading, feel free to contact me and do like and subscribe. And this month looks like a very, very great month for Gemini because that transit of Saturn into your 11th really sets you on a road for a long-term success in becoming publicly recognized, your work becoming recognized, rewards, and in general, all around recognition for your hard work. All right, thanks for watching. Namaste.